And here's the story. It's a video that's been circulating, right? A fist fight in a New Jersey mall has become the latest flashpoint in the national conversation about racial bias in law enforcement. The video, which was posted on social media, it shows two males, two teens, right? One is black, one is white. The white teen puts a finger in the black teen's face. The black kid pushes back. The white teen reacts by shoving the other child before fists start flying. They start fighting. They eventually end up on the ground, tussling, right? When police arrive, the white kid's on top of the black child. But here's the issue, right? When law enforcement arrive on the scene, as they should, they pull both kids apart. But instead of trying to defuse the situation, right, they jump on top of the young black man on the ground, throw him in handcuffs. The other kid just stands there with a look on his face. And this is what we're talking about, right? This is where everything changes. New Jersey governor, he's weighing in, Phil Murphy. He tweeted last night, "Although an investigation is still gathering the facts about this incident, I am deeply disturbed by what appears to be racially disparate treatment in this video." If you haven't seen that video, if you heard of it, Google it. You need to take a look for yourself, right? So joining me now, we got retired Senior Sergeant Charles Yarbaugh. He's a friend of BNC Live. We also got retired law enforcement executive Robert Snead, also joining us by phone. Both friends. So, gentlemen, we'll start with you, Snead. Joining us by phone, Mr. Snead. According to local reports, right, this is the response from the Bridgewater Police Department. We recognize that this video has made members of our community upset, and they're calling for an internal investigation. The officers were able to respond quickly to this incident and stop it from escalating because of a tip we received from the community. I wish we had that to show you, that statement, but nonetheless, that's what it was. So, Mr. Snead, what do you make of that? Is there an apology there, or is it just more so, hey, we're going to investigate?
Now, I understand the process really well, where you do investigate it, you look into all angles of what happened. However, I saw the video, quite disturbing. Any use of force is not going to look good. The optics just not going to look good, regardless of what happened. It can be justified. However, in this case, the two gentlemen, of course, got into an argument, and the subjects involved, the one with the white hooded sweatshirt, the African American young man, he pushed back, and by the time the police got there, the bigger aggressor, the white gentleman, he was beating him into the couch right there in front of everybody. And the police, they jumped right on the black teenager. The white teenager, he was basically escorted to the seat like he was the front seats of a WWF
Yes.
match. And
had a very entitled look on his face too, and that gets to my point of how the trajectory of both of these young men's lives could change, right? The young
right,
white teen had the look of somewhat entitlement, as the black teen is on the ground in handcuffs for the same offense.
He was not violently resisting. He wasn't passively resisting. He instantaneously, he submit. But the white teenager, he appeared to be given a front row seat of a wrestling match. And at one point, he felt so comfortable to stand up over the police and the gentleman who had the knee in his back.
Yeah, I want to bring in Sergeant Charles. Sir, you're a retired law enforcement officer. I mean, is that the first protocol? I guess my question is, why arrest one teen if you arrive and they're both fighting?
Well, I agree with Snead was saying in regards to the whole incident. I've been in several incidents like that myself. The reality of it is that both of them were aggressors. Both of them should have been treated the same. Both of them should have been taken to the ground and handcuffed. And what I'd like to find out is, after the young black teenager was handcuffed, what happened to the white teenager? Was he handcuffed? Was he taken out and processed in the same manner? But initially, from what you saw and what I saw in the video, it is very disturbing. There appears to be some issues as relates to some racial disparity here in regards to how both of them were treated and in regards to this incident. But nonetheless, the bottom line about it is both of them should have been treated the same. and also taken to the point where they were handcuffed and escorted out of the mall. I know one of the things that the mall did, which I agree with, both teens were immediately banned for 3 years for coming to that mall again.
I mean, listen, we're talking about teenagers. I don't even understand why either of them would need to be handcuffed, let alone one. Why not just separate them? One cop, figure out what happened. What was the situation here? Teenagers fight.
Well, that's true, but I think that at that point in time, because it appeared to me that the officers were outnumbered, they possibly could have done that as well. But I think just based on the fact of trying to get the situation under control, that probably would have been one of the things that they did, and I don't have necessarily a problem with it. But I think that overall, both of them should have been treated the same.
Yeah.
You can't have one sitting on the couch and overlooking, as Reed had mentioned, like you had a WWF fight, and the other officer, the other young man, had been taken to the ground and handcuffed.
Yeah, exactly. But it also goes to how we are sometimes perceived as being aggressors. Snead, I want to bring you in. Go ahead, sir.
Oh yes, it's a lot of lessons to be learned, a
Yeah.
lot of things looking forward. Uh, Definitely, the least of the problems that I saw there was some implicit biases, and that's our reality. Not saying it's right, but that's the world we live in, and it's not just police; it's every walk of life, every profession.
Yeah,
Everyone,
absolutely.
everyone has an implicit bias. I'm not making any excuses because that could have very well been my own child. And actually, I'm a North Jersey boy. I grew up in North Jersey, and my daughter graduated from high school in that community.
Mm.
So that could have really been, you know, could have been one of my children.
Yeah, just doing what kids do, right? So the New Jersey chapter of the NAACP called for the officers to be removed pending the investigation. Do you believe they should be removed, or do you believe they should be retrained? Mr. Snead, I'll go to you, and then come back to you, Sergeant Yarbaugh.
I really want to see unbiased investigation play out, but also I'm familiar with policy, procedure, law, police tactics. You can always implement tactics. However, it's really what comes down to is what's inside your heart
Yeah.
when you respond to incidents like that. So I believe in the system. It's not perfect. There's a lot of lessons learned, but in order to rectify the problem, you have to realize there is a problem before you implement any type of training.
Yeah, absolutely. Sergeant Yarba, I know you're not a psychologist, right? But I mean, you're a black man in America. So talk about the psychological impacts this could have on both teenagers, especially the black one that was on the ground handcuffed.
Well, again, it goes back to the issue of training, and the reality of it is that whatever is inside of the uniform is what it is. When it comes down to racial biases and training, you can have all the training in the world, but you can't take out what someone actually has in their heart. And as far as the black teenager was concerned, and as well as the other ones that were there, this also puts them in a situation where that fear factor comes with law enforcement and not sure what they're going to do and how they're going to be treated. And I think, unfortunately, in today's society, as Reed mentioned, this is just part of today's society. This is what we go through on a regular basis as people of color when it comes down to law enforcement. And the only way that this is going to change is that they have to recruit people that are better, look at social media, find out what is really actually on these people's minds. And then everyone can't be the police. And there are times when you have to say, look, you're not good enough for us at this point in time. You have to get yourself better as it relates to how you deal with people of color. And I think everyone should be treated the same. Unfortunately, in law enforcement today, this is not always the case.
Yeah, yeah. And for folks at home, I mean, by no means are we hopping on the police. As you can see, we got two former police officers here. We're just talking about just equal treatment across the board, right? And possibly,
Absolutely.
implicit new training. All right, gentlemen, please stay with us. We got to take a quick break, but when we come back, we'll continue to have that conversation. You're watching BNC Live. All right, we're continuing our conversation. It's about two teenagers in New Jersey, if you haven't seen the video, right? They get into a fight into a mall, police arrive, and they don't handcuff both teens. They handcuff the black teen. So we're talking about training with former law enforcement here. Mr. Snead, my question to you is, sir, what type of recourse does this family have?
First and foremost, it's a traumatic incident that could clearly impact that young man for the rest of his life. I would be persistent with the pursuit of that investigation and the findings of it to include officers' backgrounds. Uh, the witnesses on the scene on the video clearly said they believe it was race related. And I'm sure they already retained attorneys to proceed forward. I won't speak from a legal standpoint as far as the law, uh, civilly at least. It's unfortunate, it's tragic. However, there's several corrective steps that I'm sure the family was going to look at. I certainly would, and I wouldn't deviate from that. But also, other than therapy, you're going to need some type of help, and you're going to look at some type of reform, as well as the justice for their son.
Yeah. I think what's so interesting, Mr. Snead, is the fact that you're from this community. You're familiar with this community. You said your children went to the school district there.
Yes, I'm from North Jersey. My daughter, she went to school right there in Bridgewater. She's she's graduated quite some time ago. She's 32,
Are you
but
shocked by this
she knew
incident?
that. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry to cut you off. Are you shocked by this incident?
I'm shocked at any incident that goes down like that this time of day, considering all the past events that has happened, whether it's George Floyd. It's I don't want to say I become callous to it because I'm not. I'm 52 years old. I know what it's like growing up a young black man in America, and right now to this day, yeah, I'm a retired law enforcement professional. I'm a father, husband, son, brother, but I'm a black man first, unapologetically.
Yeah.